What's happening, Cigars Daily Nation? Today, I'm in the Cigars Daily Humidor because I've got humidors on my mind. One of my favorite things in the entire cigar world is learning more about this stuff and the history behind it. And just this week, I got my hands on a 100-year-old humidor, and when I started doing some research on it, it blew my mind. Not just about the 100-year-old humidor, but about sort of what humidors have been through over the last 100 years. So today I want to take you on a little tour through history, not only to see what humidors are made out of and what they've been made out of, but what I've learned from all of this, because there are some really critical keys to getting a humidor set up just right, no matter really what you're using to store your cigars. And so let me take you through history and through some critical lessons to keeping your collection in top shape. When we talk about humidors, you probably picture something relatively similar to what's sitting on the table next to me here. A wooden desktop humidor, something with Spanish cedar lining the insides, and a beautiful finish, and they look super sexy sitting on your dresser. They dress your whole collection up, and for the most part, I think that I've always thought this is how we stored cigars. Like I'm trying to imagine back hundreds of years, I just pictured them using basically the same thing. It's just a wood box after all. But what I've learned recently is that this is actually very recent. Wooden humidors like this actually didn't come into use until around the 1950s. Before that, there was all kinds of different stuff used, and it's something that I learned about when I started getting into stuff like this. This is my 100-year-old humidor sitting right next to me. This thing is a totally different take on humidors and humidification, and I was blown away when I opened the thing to look inside. I got this thing the other week after a friend of mine sent me a link for somebody selling it online, and I think I paid like 35 or 40 bucks for the thing, which is great because it's definitely seen better days. But what I didn't expect with this at all was what I found when I opened the door. Typically, wooden humidors are lined with wood, or at least they have been my whole lifetime, but this thing has got copper on the inside, all the walls, on the top, on the bottom. It's completely copper lined. It's something I've learned that has been a huge deal in past decades, as they've used things like copper and other inert metals that don't contribute to or take away from the humidity inside of your space you're keeping your cigars. And they also used to use clay blocks to keep the humidity up inside because they didn't have Bovida back in the day. And so this has gotten me really thinking about humidors, because not only were humidors way different 100 or 120 years ago, but they're actually changing even now. People are using more different types of humidors, and so I want to show you some of those. But the thing that surprises me is that the principles of humidifying haven't changed one iota. They're completely the same, and I've got 3 big lessons that I want to take you guys through when it comes to humidification today, regardless of what your humidor is lined with. Today, it seems to me that wooden humidors are sort of on their way out, or at least going out of style, and there's a few reasons for that. The cost of wood just keeps going up, and for that matter, most wooden humidors you'll find in stores today are actually just particle board with Spanish cedar veneer on the inside and a finish printed on the outside. And so the quality is not necessarily there, but what you find in exchange is amazing prices. It's incredible that you can still find desktop humidors for 30, 40, 50, and 60 bucks. They certainly wouldn't cost that if you bought a real wood one. But today, people are finding other things to use that go back to that 100-year-old humidor philosophy, like inert solids that don't absorb or emit humidity, like the Adu 300 count humidor behind me. This is the one that Jim and I have been using in our office here at the Cigars Daily HQ 3.0, and we love this thing because it also controls temperature, something that no humidor 100 years ago could ever dream of doing. And I talk about this all the time, the acrylic desktop humidor, because just like the Adu, it comes with an amazingly solid seal. It controls the humidity unbelievably well and allows you to maintain humidity for a very, very long time. And that's the thing about all of this humidor topic. There are a few principles that govern the way that we cultivate a cigar collection. Those things have never changed. Whether we've used copper or porcelain or wood or some sort of acrylic or plastic on the inside of the humidor, you still got to keep your collection up in exactly the same way using 3 very simple lessons. Here at the Cigars Daily HQ, we have humidors of just about every size, shape, and makeup. We've got whole rooms that are filled with wooden shelves. We've got other rooms that are filled with metal racks. We've got mid-size cabinet humidors. This one behind me is a stand-up wooden cabinet humidor that's supposed to hold like 4,000 cigars. And now that I got my 100-year-old humidor, I sort of feel like I got the whole set. But the thing that stands out to me is that the principles of this haven't changed. And there's three things that I want to give you if you're looking at or thinking about getting a humidor for your home. And they're three S's for me because I just think that's very convenient. Three things for you to consider. The first one being size. You've got to get a humidor that's the right size for the collection that you want to cultivate. You may just want a desktop humidor that holds 20 to 40 sticks, and if you do, that's fantastic. That's exactly the size humidor you get. If you want a larger cigar collection, you got to think about something a little bit bigger, but you definitely don't want a humidor that's not going to hold all your sticks. Otherwise, you find yourself buying humidor after humidor after humidor, and I know you guys are out there that have like 6, 8, or 10 in your house already. Or you get one that's way too big and your sticks don't even fill it out. So get one that's the right size. And then there's the seal. This is the most critical thing because a humidor is all about controlling humidity. You want humidity to be like right around 70%. And you want the temperature managed too. You want it to be sort of room temperature around 70 degrees as well. As long as it has a good seal, it will hold in humidity. But if it doesn't have a good seal, you may find it not holding in humidity at all. I've seen in different parts of the country, some people have issues with not being able to get the humidity above like 45 or 50 when they use a humidor with a bad seal. In other parts of the country, a bad seal means your humidor is going to be off the charts, way too high in humidity, and that comes with its own issues. And then the last big one is scent. And this is something that has always been an issue with humidors. You want to make sure that what's inside the humidor isn't going to give off a scent or a smell that's going to actually taint your collection. That's a bigger issue today than it's been at any point in my lifetime because we see a lot of refrigerated humidors that actually have a plasticky odor inside. That's a big concern for cigar smokers out there and something you should be aware of if you're going to be getting a refrigerated humidor. But whether you've got a humidor that uses copper or porcelain or wood or plastic, acrylic, or whatever the hell you end up coming up with, as long as it's got a good, like, non-scented inside or something with a scent that actually contributes to the cigars. It's the reason that so many humidors are lined with Spanish cedar, which, by the way, I've also learned is actually not even in the cedar family. And so there you go. Three big lessons that I've taken away from getting a 100-year-old humidor and then diving headfirst into some really nerdy cigar stuff. But I want to hear from you guys. What are your big questions or comments about humidors? What are the big things you would warn new cigar smokers to stay away from or even to steer over toward? And I want to invite you to check out this video on CigarsDailyPlus.com. We're always working to make it better on Cigars Daily Plus. Thank you all so much for watching. This is Tim signing off for Cigars Daily, and I will see you in the comments.